Hello, the name is Daman Devsud, your host for my weekly show, My Top Tips, every Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. IST. Recently, I completed the century, and with your help, I'm looking forward to make the double century. Discussions today about one of the most important happenings, crucial happenings in the world: cyber attacks, cyber security, cyber resilience. The topic that I have picked up is why these cyber attacks are still a big force to counter. This is what I have been saying in risk, in BCM, in resilience, in cyber resilience also, that a calm sea is not necessarily a good sign. There may be a crisis brewing up under it. And the need today is to move from cybersecurity to cyber resilience. One could raise hand, objection, concern also. The one there is no difference between these two. Cybersecurity and cyber resilience are same. I would agree, and I would say similar, if not same. But we need to understand when we are saying these are two things, then we need to differentiate between these. Cyber resilience is when cybersecurity arrangements, program plans become effective. When it becomes part of our culture, when it becomes day to day, within day, hours, minutes, seconds, when it's in our blood. This is how I will differentiate between cybersecurity and cyber resilience. Need to start with cybersecurity, but need to move to cyber resilience. This has been said many times by everyone in the world that there is a lot under the water. The example is from an iceberg. And based on that, I'm saying, bringing back to the topic, why cyber attacks are still a big force to counter, because even in 2025, when we have matured so much, we have progressed so much, cyber attacks still remain one of the biggest risks. And this is despite huge investments have been made, but the threats keep growing. And these attacks, these threats, these vulnerabilities, once again, two, three different terms, keep it simple. Something wrong is happening, has been happening, continues to happen with us to us. They impact our stability, trust, and resilience ultimately. Quick look at the global picture in 2025 itself. While more than 3 months still need to go. Bybit, a crypto theft of $1.5 billion. Marks and Spencer went down. The loss was estimated to be 300 million pounds, not dollars. And their market value went down by 1.3 billion pounds. This is huge. Jaguar Land Rover was impacted. All these are cyber attacks, by the way, not other attacks, other incidents, disasters, or crises that these organizations might have faced. Their production lines were down for weeks. UNFI food supply chain was disrupted. So what we see is the theme is same, cyber attack, but the impact in fourth one is supply chain, which brings us close to third-party risk management, which is very weak across globe, across organizations, according to me. I make this comment having gone across, having been to companies, countries, and industry sectors. St. Paul went down, state of emergency, and National Guard was deployed. In Sweden, there was 1.5 million citizens' data leakage. What we understand is that no sector, no company, no country is immune. No one is foolproof or fail-proof. And what I have not listed in the list, but airports across globe in past few years, even in this year, within this week, past few days, airports, and I'm really surprised with this. These are not small companies that would have a challenge of investment. These are big companies. And within that, surprisingly, this is an area of research I understand. Surprisingly, what goes down is repeatedly the check-in systems of the airlines. This is important. This has been bothering me. That's why I have brought this out in my talk. What happens after a breach? Breaches have been happening. Records leaked so many times in past decades also. But what is the impact? My record is leaked. Generally, it is said the moment your passwords are already available in the dark web. Then what? Who is losing what, how much? That's not known. And that's why we, and when I say we, individuals as well as organizations, even the biggest organizations, perhaps do not bother about it and we keep ignoring it. Customer harm scattered, but who has done what? Who was in customers actually impacted and lost? One point without debate, without any doubt, we lose peace of mind for sure, for some time, for sure. But I'm looking at more than that. Not degrading or not giving any less importance to emotional impact of the disasters of the crisis. We understand the hackers do get something. But once again, what is that amount? Who has paid? How much to whom? Doesn't come out. And that's why there is no learning across companies, countries, and industry sectors. Perhaps companies underreport. For example, they paid 1 million, but they may say we paid 500,000. Or the impact, even if it's not paid, but otherwise indirectly, impact was 1 million, and they may say we were impacted by 200,000 only. This is to avoid liability, to avoid shame, etc., etc. And the name. The result is a cycle of invisibility plus weak accountability because we don't say we have lost or we have paid or we have been impacted. So we don't raise that point of accountability who was responsible, who was or who should be held accountable for these breaches and the losses. We know, at least in the financial sector, especially a lot that comes out of is from the UK by the Bank of England, PRA, FCA, etc. They put a lot of fine on banks or other financial institutions, but does it make a difference? Quick numbers here that come to mind easily or are available easily on the internet. TSB was fined 48.65 million pounds once again. HSBC 57.4 million pounds. Vocalink 11.5 million, 11.9 million pounds. And there are many actually this time. Some organizations have been fined repeatedly, which means these fines do not make any difference. The challenge is, from the media at least, we understand that the fines were imposed. But did they really pay? How much did they pay? What were the terms and conditions? Like when we take loans, we get EMI. Every month, I pay some portion of the principal and the interest. Do these companies pay these fines also in that way? And then next question that comes to mind, and it's a big question bothering me, what do the regulators do with this money, these funds that get accumulated by way of putting penalties due to some mishappenings at the organizations which are under their regulation? What do they do? And there is little visibility on systematic improvement. If we say these keep happening, and actually keep happening within same organization again and again, that means there is no learning and there is no improvement. I'll link this with one suggestion that I'm coming up with. Looks like action, but impact is not clear to us. 5 big reasons I'm saying for cyber attacks. Cheaper to attack than defend. Our supply chains are very fragile. I'm repeating this. The third party risk management is weak generally across the globe in all organizations. We look inwards only, we don't look outwards. And there are blind spots in leadership. They don't see or they don't want to see because someone is not showing them. Both are happy. That's not a good situation. The impact is not visible. So everyone generally remains cool, calm, easy to ignore. And as I said, there are regulators in certain countries, in certain sectors, but what they do is ultimately the penalty is imposed. What happens after that? Is there any change either at the regulator side or at the organization side is not clear. So these are 5 big reasons for cyber attacks still happening. Before closing, always I will give my top tips. So these are about 10, 12 top tips for different people, different organizations, different set of people. For board leadership, I will say treat cyber resilience as board level issue. Please do not miss it. Please do not ignore it. Go beyond audits. Ask more questions. Get involved more. Stay engaged. And keep suggesting also. And keep providing more information, guidance, budget, resources also if required. And run a real world attack simulations. It's very easy. Internal consultants or external consultants like me may be deployed to design, develop, and deliver simulations. The big challenge is that the board, the leadership, loses interest after the simulation, which is not good. So the top tip is stay engaged, keep asking, and keep telling also. For regulators, I would like to say increase transparency about fines. How much did you impose? How much was collected? And how was that utilized? My suggestion here is that rather than collecting the penalties, funds through penalties and fines from the offending organization, impose 10 million instead of 5 million, but do not keep it with the regulators. Give it back to the organization to invest, to fix and improve. Because otherwise, anyone would say lack of funds or 1 million to be spent in next 10 years, for example. No, if you are collecting 10 million in one go, that means they have the capacity to pay. Somehow they could arrange that. Then ask them to invest. Give this money back to them and keep control over it. Do not forget, so that the organizations do not utilize those funds somewhere else. Tie penalties to measurable outcomes and share lessons across industries. These lessons will happen only when we open up, when we improve and we share and we tell. And the sharing has to be the loss also. Generally, no one would like to open up. That remains to be a challenge. For people, consumers, ourselves, citizens, assume your data will be breached. So the security control is in your hands. You need to do all that you can do, all that within your control, within your limits. And practice cyber hygiene. Every password, any system that you're accessing, at least have strong passwords, keep changing those regularly, and have two-factor authentication. And demand accountability. Whoever is your vendor, your bank, for example, insurance company, your auto company, all are your vendors. Ask what is your role, what is their role, and what are your rights, what are your duties, and then live to those. Top tips for industry as a whole is shift from cybersecurity to cyber resilience. I talked about that in the beginning itself. Build continuity plus the rapid recovery plans. So I keep saying these risk, crisis, BCM, resilience, operational resilience, organizational resilience are not either or. These are and. All need to coexist. Develop mechanisms to measure true impact. And when you measure, then share, use, improve using that data and foster collaboration within the department, first of all, then within the group companies, and then across companies. Finally, a call to action, as I always say, cyber risk thrives in shadows. We need clarity on both. Front end, who was breached? What was the impact? Direct, indirect. At the back end, who paid? Who suffered? What changed? Our leaders, regulators, customers, we all have a role to play in cybersecurity, in cyber resilience. We need to be aware of our roles, what we can expect from others, what are our duties, live to those duties, and what are our rights, and exercise those rights if when required. Then only we will be able to achieve digital age resilience. While closing, once again, I repeat, the wisdom delayed, action delayed is opportunity denied. The time is now for resilience. Let's take action. If you have any questions about today's discussions about cyber security, cyber resilience, cyber attacks, why these are still a force to act upon, or about resilience as a whole, please feel free to write to me and I'll be happy to respond. Logging off, this is your host, Daman Dev Sood, from my weekly show, My Top Tips, every Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. IST. I look forward to seeing you all Wednesdays. Thanks. Bye-bye.